Hey, Scanner Danner here with Scanner Danner's son again, Caleb, who's going to be my cameraman. Today we're doing something a little bit different. We're working on a 2009 Chevy Silverado that has a brake problem, and the right rear and left front brakes were getting very hot, and we're going to walk you through troubleshooting this thing. Alright, to begin with this, first thing I want to say is I am an electronic specialist, not a brake and suspension guy. I teach at a technical college for engine performance, and the brake and suspension stuff is not my area of expertise anymore. But I do have 25 years in the field. I am an ASE L1 certified master tech. I do know how to fix brakes, but this is more of the backyard style. So for those of you watching this, you'll appreciate that I'm going to struggle through this probably the same way you will. Anyway, a little bit of background with this braking system. The right rear and left front, as I stated in the intro, were locking up on me. As we were driving home last week, I could feel the truck holding back, and I smelled brakes when I came to a stop, and I just simply got out of the vehicle and carefully, I might add carefully, touched each rim with my hand to see temperature, and the right rear was smoking hot, and so was the left front, in particular this right rear. Now this braking system, I believe, is something called a split diagonal system, meaning the hydraulic part of it, the left front and right rear are on the same hydraulic circuit. So I'm concerned that maybe we don't have a typical caliper hanging up or a seized up slide, that we have a hydraulic issue, and so that's my assumptions going into this. But the first thing I wanted to do was to pull the caliper, check the slides, see if the pistons move freely, and that's where we are. I didn't pick this up from the beginning. I just decided now that maybe I should film this, so because I think it'll be useful for you guys. So what I want to do first is show you guys the pistons on this particular caliper and show you that they are hanging up, and I want to show you how I did that. My apologies that I didn't get you guys at the very beginning of this. I did not plan on filming this until I saw the problem, and I thought this would be valuable to someone out there. So the test that I want to show you is verifying these caliper pistons are moving the way they should. I'm just using a big pair of channel locks, and what we want to do, because I have the caliper off already, is we just want to see the movement of these guys, and I'm really just using one hand here to show you how easy it is to move these caliper pistons. So I'm just squeezing. You see how nice and freely that piston is moving back in. That's what we want to see on both of these pistons. So watch this one. I have some movement, but now I'm completely frozen. This is both hands now. I cannot push that piston in any further. Let me show you this one again. You see that one come up a little bit. These are hydraulically connected, so you will have that. A little bit of advice here: when you're working on brakes and pushing caliper pistons back in, you may want to take the master cylinder cap off to alleviate any pressure you're building in the system as it's backflowing up into the master cylinder. I'm not too worried about that in this case because my pistons were in most of the way already. My brakes were relatively new. So when you have the piston out real far and your brake fluid levels down in the master cylinder, as you're compressing these, you're pushing that fluid back up inside, and taking the brake reservoir cap and loosening it helps a little bit. What I'm going to have my son do now is pump the brake pedal a couple times. We'll watch these pistons. Sorry for all the noisy birds today. It is springtime in Pennsylvania. A lot of those are robins that you guys are hearing. I think that's our state bird, the robin. Okay, go ahead and push the pedal down, Caleb. Brake pedal. You see that piston coming up freely. Go ahead, do it again, let go, and then push down again. Keep going, a couple more times. What we don't want to do is extend these all the way out and blow the piston out. Because then we'll get brake fluid everywhere and the seals inside can be damaged. Keep going. Okay, that's good, stop. Alright, so you see this one never moved. And I'll show you this. Let me push this back in. Now there's some people that will tell you never push a piston in without loosening a brake bleeder screw, because you don't want that old fluid going back up into the master cylinder and through the ABS system. And I wouldn't argue with that, guys. I just found it's not necessary. I've done hundreds, thousands of brake jobs and never opened up a bleeder and not had a problem on any one of them. I'll watch this one be an issue, but... Alright, so what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to hold this and see if we can make this piston move by me holding this one. Alright, go ahead and push down, Caleb. Keep going. Keep going. There we go. Yeah, it just actually freed itself up right there as you did that. Let's see if I can push this back in now freely. And I can. There was one point where this was sticking.
Are you pushing?
I am. Good, let go of the brake pedal. No wonder. No wonder that was a lot harder. Caleb's still pushing on the pedal. Okay, go ahead and push the pedal down again. Yeah. Alright, that's cool, Caleb. We actually were able to free that up. Well, not really free it up. You can see it's still sticking. One more time.
Alright.
These, okay, good. These should move together. Let go of the pedal.
I did.
I'm going to try this one more time. We're going to replace this caliper. Now, if you guys really want to save yourselves some money, you can rebuild these. Nobody rebuilds calipers anymore. I don't even know if I could get a seal kit for this. I'm not even going to try. But what you would do is you'd pump these up till you pop the pistons out, and then you can change the seals inside, clean everything up, use a little hone inside if you have to. Old school stuff. But yeah, I'm not doing that. We're going to replace it. One more time, I'm going to hold this one. Go ahead and hit the brake pedal, Caleb. Okay, again. Okay, good. Let go.
I did.
This one's real hard pushing back in. I mean, really hard. Okay. Other ways you could do this, guys, is with a C-clamp. You can crank those in, but that piston's hanging up. We're gonna change that. All right, come out here, Caleb. So I used to make fun of people that wear gloves when they do work on cars. You know, kind of wussy. I'm totally being wussy right now, because I'll tell you what, having a glove on for all this greasy brake work, it's really nice to just take them off and your hands are still clean. I like my hands clean. That's why I do electronic work on cars. Check engine lights, running problems, no start, drivability. I'm the guy you want to look up. So if you guys happen to fall in this video because you're doing a brake job on your 2009 Silverado, good for you. But don't forget, I do the check engine light stuff. That's my specialty. Anyway, clean hands is cool. All right, so we're going to change this caliper for sure. And what I want to show you guys, two other checks you want to make sure you do when you have a brake that's hanging up. One is to make sure that your pads, zoom in right here, Caleb. Make sure that the brake pads slide easily on the caliper bracket. Okay, see how nice and free that slides? And then the back ones too, the same way. I'm just using my hand to do that. Okay, and what I did off camera is I actually thought the back brake pad was hanging up. I took a screwdriver and used my hammer, and I smacked the pad off, and I pulled these slides off, cleaned everything up, and that wasn't my issue. They won't always move this freely by hand. In fact, they won't. If the brakes have been on for a while and you live in the Rust Belt like we do, they're not going to slide that easily. May take a little bit of coaxing with a screwdriver, but you should be able to move them without beating on them. So that's another piece. And then the slide pin, this is the bottom one. So you want to make sure that when you have a caliper slide, you see how nice and free I can move that in and out. Now this normally goes onto the caliper first here, right? Just the way that this one's designed. That's why you guys are seeing the threads here. But the point is, see how nice and free that moves? So you want that on the top one or on the bottom. Same thing for this top one. Now this one, we didn't need to unthread it. We can actually put the caliper back in this way. Okay, and then you want to make sure the top one, same thing. See how nice and freely that is. So again, we want that. So these slides were fine. While I have this apart, of course, I will put some extra grease on here. But for now, we're going to change this caliper. So I feel more comfortable after seeing this one piston hung up to not worry about the hydraulics, it being a split diagonal system that I mentioned. Next thing we want to do is I want to check my left front. Well, maybe not next thing. The next parts of this job that I want to do is check the left front, because that one was hot too. But I also want to pull the other ones, in particular the right rear, and make sure that everything's free on that side too. And maybe what we can do, being it's the same piston design, is I can show you the left rear, driver's rear, and see if it reacts differently than this one.
Sweet.
You were smirking.
Yeah, because you said right rear and then you corrected yourself, and then I also remembered while I was pumping the brakes, I googled it and the state bird is not the robin.
Are you sure?
I'm positive. Wait, let me find it.
The PA state birds, keep the camera rolling. We'll keep all of this.
Okay. It's
Caleb's making fun of me because he said
it's the rough-faced grouse.
The state bird is not the robin?
No.
Are you sure?
Dude, Google says it.
Google. Well,
Yeah.
ask the Google. The Google knows. Alright, let's go to the other side, Caleb. We'll show, before we do the left front and figure out what was going on there, let's show the left rear. It's still together, and then maybe we can make this more clear. So I haven't touched this side yet. This is what I did on the other side. Again, safety. I want to talk about safety. You see we got jack stands here, guys. I'm not working on this vehicle. Never work on a car without a jack stand, ever. First thing that I'll typically do when I do a brake job is I'll grab an old screwdriver, one I don't really care much about, and I'll go between the rotor and the caliper, and then I want to pull back on this. And as I do that, what I'm doing is I'm compressing the pistons a little bit, and it's not always easy to do. Okay, once you have a gap there, and then now you can see this caliper actually moves. So what I did is I did compress the piston some. If I was replacing the brake pads, I would want to pull that all the way in with the screwdriver. That way when I pull the caliper off, I don't have to worry about pushing the pistons in. They're already in. So that moved pretty freely. You can see that my slides are good. Just that test in itself is telling you that our slides are good, right? These slides are not frozen. What would happen when I did that, if the slides were frozen, I wouldn't be able to, because I'm actually relying on the slides to move. What I'm doing is I'm hinging the screwdriver in the rotor, pulling on the outside of the caliper, which is pulling on the slides, and it's putting pressure on the pistons and pushing them in. So again, with a frozen slide there, you wouldn't be able to do that procedure. So that's one. I'm not going to push them all the way back in because I don't know that we're changing these brake pads. Going to take this bottom bolt out. I do not need to take the top one out. Sorry, Caleb, my head's in the way.
It's alright.
Who tightened that? Was it me?
Scanner Dan is too strong for himself.
That's a little too tight. And my Ratchet's seen better days. I just ordered some new ones. I actually went with a Gearwrench set. We'll see how they do. I don't know. I don't get the luxury of being around tool trucks anymore, but you can see my Matco Ratchet. My flex head Matco Ratchet. The pin popped out. This pin here, and then there's a locking spring and a ball, and it shot out and I lost it. So now I have a limp Ratchet.
It's got ED.
Yes, maybe some Viagra for this Ratchet. So I ordered some Gearwrench ones. I'll let you guys know what I think about them. I ordered a set from JB Tools. I got the 3/8, the 1/2 inch and 1/4 inch as a set for, man, it was like $100 or something. You're gonna pay $150 for this off a tool truck. One Ratchet. We'll see. They're supposed to be decent. I'll keep you posted. Okay, one pin, pull this up. The top pin, pull it out like that. No need to unbolt the top one. You saw that those slides were free. We'll focus on the pistons here in a second. And this is what you typically will see. See this top one, that moves freely. This is kind of frozen. And this wasn't even the side I had a problem with. But what we do see, well, I'll show you in a minute, there's more wear on this inside pad than there is on the outside. And in part, that's because this one's frozen a little bit. Let's see if we can, let's see how frozen. Okay, it's not bad. This is pretty typical here in PA. So I'm not putting a lot of pressure to get that pad out, but and I'm not changing those yet. We're not going to do a brake job. We'll just clean it up. I'll show you what I did to clean these up. But let's look at the. Is this in a good spot, Caleb? We good?
Let's see here.
Okay. I'll hold my hand still. Are we okay?
Yeah, that's good.
What you want to look at on the brake pad is look at the thickness of the two. See how that one's thinner than this one? And so what you had is this side was hanging up a little bit. Might be worth putting shoes on this. I hate to take stuff apart. Sorry if I'm using the wrong terminology. I'm saying pads and shoes, and the shoes, brake shoes, would be the drum type brakes, okay? The brake pads would be the caliper type rotor, and I don't do brakes, guys, so cut me some slack, okay? My pads are a little unevenly worn. I hate to put these back on, but I'm not doing anything with the rotors now. I did these about a year ago, maybe a little bit longer, and I replaced the rotors, replaced the shoes. I don't want to put new shoes. I did it again. I don't want to put new pads on a crappy looking rotor. Okay, so I just made the decision. I'm not doing these now. Whenever I need them, probably in another year, I'll change the rotors and pads at the same time. I don't like to cut rotors on the heavy duty on my truck. Just you're taking metal off of it, and I found that within a few months the pulsing will come back unless you're using an on-car lathe. And I learned the hard way, you can't use an on-car brake lathe on this vehicle because it has a locking rear differential. And if you turn the wheel, no problem. I can turn the wheel, and this is what an on-car brake lathe would do. There'd be a machine that go on the front, and it will turn the wheel, and you can cut the rotor. It gives you the best machine surface because your mounting point is the car, and it doesn't change. The bad part about cutting rotors, the biggest problem that you have is when you take the rotor off of the vehicle and then you chuck it up on a machine, you never really get it centered. And so what the rotor does is it'll wobble on the machine, and then you cut it to that wobble, you put it back on the vehicle. It's parallel, the sides are parallel, but the problem is there is a wobble to it, and what will happen with that wobble is it'll hit that brake shoe in the same spot when you're not hitting the brakes, and over time that's going to heat that part of the rotor, and that causes it to warp again. So that's what happens if you're not using an on-car brake lathe. But with the on-car lathe on here, if it moves quickly like that, watch, you see it lock? But if I move it slowly, that doesn't happen. I learned that the hard way. I put the machine on, cranked it up, and it went, and the whole thing picked up off the ground. You can't use an on-car brake lathe with a locking rear differential. Okay, anyway. All right, let's clean this up. This is what we would do for a typical brake job. On this design, there are slides here. Piece of tin, something. Not sure what it's made out of. Real small piece of metal. That's what the pads will slide on. And we're going to clean these up, but even, not more importantly, but just as important, here in the rust belt rust will build underneath this slide. And this is the part that people will miss. And if you don't clean underneath it, what that does is it actually raises this slide upward, puts pressure on the shoes, on the pads, and that will give you the issue that we have. Can give you the issue we have.
The thumb of your glove has a hole in it.
I know, now my thumb's all dirty. And I'm gonna put my safety glasses on now. Ready? They're the 3D kind that back in the old days you'd watch a movie and they'd put their 3D glasses on, then they'd disappear. So you knew when to put your glasses on?
Yep.
I have glasses on, you guys just can't see them. Safety glasses. You should be wearing them. Ideally, it's easier to clean these with this whole piece off, but I'm not going to do that. We're just trying to be quick here. Careful of your boots there. I almost kind of damaged that one. That wouldn't have been cool. Alright, but even though, again, the pads are not sliding on this part, the reason I cleaned that off was to take, it has to do with the height level of these, and it keeps the pads from moving freely. Alright, so now we'll, down here, Caleb, on this piece, just gonna clean this guy up. And of course there are better ways to do this. The hard part about shooting YouTube videos on basic repairs like this is everyone's got an opinion. Okay, this is what I'm doing. Deal with it. The cool part about this right now is I'm actually teaching my son how to do brakes and he doesn't even know it. That was my thumb.
I saw that coming.
Alright. So, clean. The other thing too, if you have big chunks of rust underneath, you might want to hit the under part of that too. again, it's about making sure that we don't have too much upward movement of this, which will put pressure on the pads and keep them from sliding. All right, next piece. What we want to do is we're going to lubricate this slide. We don't want to put too much grease on here because we don't want that grease to end up on the rotor. The other thing that I like to do, again, because we're in the rust belt, this grease does nothing but rust prevention. The stuff I'm putting underneath here is just going to keep the rust at bay a little bit. And again, I don't want that rust accumulating underneath that. So the grease on the bottom was rust prevention. You guys that live in areas where, am I doing that right? Where's that hitting? I think I did the bottom. Oh, I just got, damn it. Hold on.
Nice job.
These are the same, right? Yes. All right. Anyway, what I was saying, you guys that live in the environments where you're not dealing with rust, man, you guys have it so easy. Caleb, remember when we went to Panama and I did that one oil seal on that one diesel truck for them?
Yeah.
I took that thing apart with like a box wrench. Like everything came out like it was brand new, and it was a 10-year-old vehicle. It was awesome. All right, that's one. Okay, that is how to clean a slide. Of course, every car is different. And I am suggesting you wear safety glasses when you use a wire wheel, but do as I say, not as I do, I guess. You see where that was kind of hanging up? You see the black part on there? It's like rust built up. Again, underneath, this one isn't really bad, but I've seen them where they are. The other thing too, if you'd have, say, a slide like this slide here, let's say that that slide was frozen and not moving freely, what you need to do with these slides sometimes, take the boot off, and you actually need to go into the slide with a small round file or something that you can clean the inside bore with, and get the rust out of there too. So that's an issue as well, not the case with mine. Alright, let's get this back on. I'll show you how much more freely these slides move. And this is really what doing a good brake job involves, guys. When you get new brakes on your vehicle, when your pedal feels nice and firm and the vehicle's stopping very well, a big part of that is not the new components. A big part of that is that everything is moving like it should be. I know when I did this brake job initially, when I put the rotors and pads on, man, my pedal felt great. And over the past couple of months, it's a little bit more spongy. You got to push it a little harder, those kind of things. All right, as far as which brake pad went where, you can see the wear marks. This was the inside one. There's your two pistons. That's your outside one. Wouldn't be a bad idea, since we're reusing these, hit this right here too, right where it slides. Okay, outside one. You know, nice and free that moves now. That's what you want. Inside one, same thing. So I can now move this by hand. Good? Okay. All right. Now let's check this piston the same way that we did the other one. All right. This one first. Nice and easy one hand. This one. Nice and easy one hand. So what I'll do, let me push these all the way in. And what's happening now hydraulically is I may actually be pushing those pistons on the other side out a little bit too as I'm pushing this one in, although on a split diagonal it may not, because this would be left rear right front hydraulically. You see how nice and free these are as I'm pushing this one's moving up. So what I would do in this case, if I'm changing the brakes, I would take the old pad and I'd put the shoe there, and then what I would do is I'd push in the middle, and we'll push both pistons down at the same time. It's going to be a little bit harder to do because you're pushing two of them. And of course a C-clamp works very well here, guys. I'm just using a pair of channel locks. I know, everyone's got an opinion. You should have done this. You should have done that. You ever see Napoleon Dynamite? My thought is, you should get out of my life and shut up. Just kidding.
It's a free country.
Uncle Rico's like, I wish you quit looking at me like that, Napoleon. Napoleon's like, I wish you'd get out of my life and shut up. Alright, pistons are in. I'm going to have Caleb push on the brake pedal here for me in a minute. Let's get this pad back on. Before I do this side, what I need to do, guys, I need to put that caliper back on the other side, because when Caleb presses on the brake, now we're going to have the pistons on that side moving and this side, and I need to make those ones over there not move. Let me go do that real quick. All I did was hang that caliper back on the other side. It's sitting there. I didn't put the bottom bolt in, but at least that piston's good. This glove isn't doing me very well right now, is it? But wait. Pretty decent. I'll take it. Gloves. I don't know that if I was still wrenching in the field full time. I did work in the field for full time for about 8 years before I went to teach. I've been teaching now coming up on 17 years at Rosedale Technical College, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. But when I worked in the field full time, I don't know that I'd wear gloves. I don't know. Maybe I would. Hold on. I'll tell you when.
Yeah.
I'm putting some new gloves on. All right, go ahead. Go ahead. Watch them, guys. Now, they didn't come up quite together. One more.
I can see that.
Go ahead. Okay, good. Now, without pressure being on here at all, there would be some differences in the tension of the seals inside. But guys, this caliper is fine. There's nothing wrong with this at all. I'm not going to change both. I'm just going to do the one so far, the right rear. I'm going to call this left rear good. Let's push this back down. Again, using one hand, very easily move down. Okay, no problem. In fact, this actually shows it well. Let's open them up one more time, Caleb. Go ahead and push the brake pedal. Again. Just holding that with my hand. Go ahead again. Okay, again. Okay, again. Again. Okay, good. All right, you can come out here now. Hopefully the birds aren't too annoying. I'm using my camera mic this time, not my external mic. And I had a comment from one of you guys in a recent video that said sometimes the birds are annoying. I'm with you, man. There's not much I can do about it. Just trying to do a real quick video on a brake system in my driveway. Actually, I'm in my neighbor's driveway. All right. watch these pistons as I push these back in. That one. I don't know if you can see this side as I'm pushing this side. Let me get my hand out of the way. You'll watch this one move up as I'm pushing this one down. Right? That's really what you want to see, and that's why you want to use the pad to push these down together. I might be able to hold this by hand as I push this one in. If you go slow, you can do it. And again, what I'm doing here is I'm pushing this fluid back into the system that way. And there's going to be some of you that are going to argue with this and say you should never push a piston back in without loosening the brake bleeder. And you know what? More power to you, brother. Do it if that's what you feel like you should do. I'm telling you, I've done thousands of brake jobs and I've never opened a bleeder and I've never had a problem. The theory of that states that you have sediment and debris in here that you're reverse flowing the hydraulics, and you're going to push that sediment into your hydraulics and your braking system. It's a valid argument. I'm with you. Here's the issue that I've seen. When rookies do that, they'll loosen the bleeder, compress the piston, brake fluid comes out, great, you're not pushing it up front. Cool, right? But here's the problem. What people don't pay attention to is as they're pushing this piston in, I want you guys to see this. Maybe I can show it. When I let this go, when I let that go, do you see the bounce in this? Can you see that, Caleb? When I'm focused right here.
Yep.
And when I squeeze, so I'm going to squeeze and then let go. And when I let go, you're going to see that piston actually come up a little bit. Watch. There's squeeze and then I let go. Squeeze and let go. Can you see that? That it's actually coming back toward, it's actually coming out a little bit. Watch. Down. Can you see that? All right, so for you guys that want to do it this way, if you want to crack the bleeder, here's the key. When you saw that piston come back up when I pushed it, if you have the bleeder open, what do you think is going to happen when that piston moves back the other way? You're going to suck air into this caliper. A minute amount, I'll give you that, but the problem is now you have a little piece of or pocket of air in this caliper. We don't want that. So if you're going to crack the bleeder loose as you're pushing these pistons in, what you want to make sure that you're doing is keeping tension with your tool to not let the piston come out, and before you let go of your pliers, tighten the bleeder back down, and that way when you let it go, you're not going to pull air back in. So that's what happens, and that's why I don't teach it. Just compress them, you'll be fine. And again, worst case scenario, worst case scenario, you're not going to be fine. And I understand the argument, I understand the theory behind it, but I've just never had an issue with it. All right, Caleb, so far in our diagnosis, we need a right rear caliper. This side's going back together. I'm going to do that now. I'm not doing anything else with this. We're going to put some more grease on the slide. We want to make sure that our brake line is not twisted. You saw me messing around with it. Some people won't pay attention and they'll do that. Bad. Don't do that. There's a piece of rust right there. Don't want that in there. Okay, there, there. And sometimes these pins will be bad enough that you want to take your tool that you cleaned the slides up with and do the same thing. Grease on the pin. using my ED ratchet. Oh, you know what? Duh.
Okay.
I even brought them with me. Some of you guys are thinking, Dad, what are you doing? Where's your battery operated ratchet? You know what? I'm so used to working in my driveway with hand tools, I forget that I have them. What did we say, 150 foot-pounds of torque, manual torque we can put with this? Obviously don't need to go 150, but we'll manually torque it. Good. That was my torque wrench on my arm. I turned it, and that little click you heard, that told you it was tight enough. All right. When I'm working in the field, another tip would be this. You're working on multiple parts of the car, right? So we never want to leave bolts loose. We never want our customers to get in any kind of safety issue because of something we did. And one of the things that I've learned over the years is when you're done with one wheel, like we don't need to be back here again. Before we move on to anything else, we're going to put the rim on, put one lug nut on, because then I know I'm done. And before I do that, I will touch every bolt that I loosened. In my mind, it's a way to check myself. So in other words, I didn't touch the caliper slide, so those are tight, but if I did, I would touch that, say tight, tight. Top bolt I never loosened, that's the slide that came out. Bottom bolt tight, we're good. This rim's going back on. Seems so simple, but I'm telling you guys that I have never left a wheel loose. I have never left a caliper loose. I've never put a customer in harm's way, ever, not once. And in part, it is because of simple things like this, so you have a flow in your mind and you don't forget. When it becomes really difficult is when you're doing brakes all the way around and you're doing an oil change and maybe a transmission flush and other maintenance stuff, maybe a serpentine belt, fuel filter, and you're doing all this stuff. You have to have a method to keep yourself from keeping things, from forgetting and leaving things loose. Okay, this one's done. This rim's on. One lug nut tells me I'm done in there. When we put all the wheels back down on the ground, I don't have to worry about this side anymore. Left front, Caleb. Okay, first thing is, notice my legs are underneath the truck, and there's a jack to my right. And notice what's next to the jack is a jack stand. Okay, so I could take this jack out. In fact, I'll do that right now just to make sure that we are being safe. Yes, I did sacrifice some safety without my safety glasses using the wire wheel, but that's just a momentary, oh, I got crap in my eye, that hurts. Not, oh, I chopped my leg off from this rotor because I'm sitting underneath it. I am safe. Okay, let's be safe in what we're doing. And I know I'm going to get crap about not wearing safety glasses from one of you guys, and you'd be correct. I don't know. I just don't want to hear it. It's my eyes. Leave me alone. Okay, so this one, same thing. I'm going to see what kind of movement we have here on this piston compression. And man, that's moving very free. More free than the rear one did actually for me. So that I like that, and the fact that I can move that. That's telling me I don't have a slide issue. Let me get the socket I need for this, Caleb. All right, so I'm using my old school Craftsman sockets. I've used these for 25 years. I get crap from people all the time, Caleb, like not really, but some people will say, oh, Snap-on must be paying you, you know, because I use like all the Snap-on diagnostic equipment. Snap-on's not paying me. If Snap-on was paying me, that socket would say Snap-on. It's a Craftsman socket. And I wouldn't have an EV ratchet made by Matco. It's a Matco ratchet. I never felt the need to spend, you know, on a set of deep well sockets, $250 for a set of Snap-on ones when I can get the same set for $60 from Sears. Although Sears is closing down now. Certain things we need Snap-on stuff for. Oh, here I go again, using my manual ratchet. What's wrong with me? It's sitting right next to me. Something you want to pay attention to, sometimes these pins are different. They're not, they're the same. They'll use like a rubber piece on one of them, and I never remember where they go, so pay attention to when you're taking those out, make sure they're the same. Alright, front one. We'll do that piston check again, although these moved freely, so you know what, I don't need to. I don't typically take a caliper off and go inside and hit the brake pedal. That's not something really I ever do. The reason I did in the case of the back one is because it was there was no other evidence of it being frozen. In fact, maybe we do need to do it with this, because look at this, Caleb. See how nice and free that is? Right? Mm-hmm. That's good. That's what we want. We're not going to do anything with these brakes yet. These are, although this is heat cracked, look at that. Can you see the crack in that? See the crack in the shoe? Yeah. Got it? Mm-hmm. So what that is a heat crack, and that really should be replaced. The problem for me is if I'm going to replace this, I'm going to replace this rotor too. Which means I'm doing front brakes and rotors. I don't know. We'll see. I don't believe that that this is a safety issue. It is for state inspection. That would fail. A PA state inspection, that would fail. I would not take this on a long trip with it like this. I would not haul stuff with it like this. Am I okay to drive this for a little while? Yes. But that is a stress or heat crack. It needs to be addressed. Alright, my main thing though is why was this side hot? And it wasn't significantly hot compared to the other ones. It was definitely warmer. That right rear was the worst. Let's see how this piston reacts to being compressed. So far I've been pretty impressed with this nightstick. It's actually a pretty inexpensive light. It's made by Bayco, B-A-Y-C-O. It's had I used it a few weeks ago on my Jeep doing the transmission cooler lines. I had it for a couple hours outside. It was still good. What I like about it is it's got 3 different really strong magnets. There's one on the top. There's one on the bottom, on the base. That's even going through my plastic wheel well. Caleb, is that in the shot?
Yeah, it is.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Okay. And then it has one on the side too, which is pretty cool. So I like that. I like this light. Although it's in my way right now. Alright. Piston. Does it compress easily? Hell no.
Come on, man.
Okay, looks like we're doing another caliper here. I mean, what are the chances of having 2 frozen calipers at the same time? The answer? Slim to none. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. I had an issue with this side a long time ago. At least 6 months ago, I noticed that this side was a little bit hot. and I ignored it, because when I drove it later and checked it again, it was fine. And I drove it again and checked it, and it was fine. And I've ignored it since then. This side has been an issue for a long time. These are things that are difficult for mechanics when a customer comes in and says, hey, my left front and my right rear wheels are very hot. And when you ask them questions about it, they say, oh no, this happened at the same time. It really didn't happen at the same time. This is something that's been ongoing on this side, and that one back there happened to freeze up. So as a mechanic, I'm thinking hydraulics. When I got a right rear and a left front that are on the same hydraulic circuit, a split diagonal system, I'm thinking it's not a caliper, it's not a slide, it's not a basic brake problem, it's something weird. But this is what we have to do. Do your basic checks first, then we go that direction. Our basic checks are telling us we're replacing 2 calipers. Again, nice and free, one hand. This one, guys, did you catch that? How'd my arm look? Pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Caleb goes to the gym with me, so we're always doing that. I don't think we need to show the push on the brake part. This piston's frozen.
Yeah.
Now what we need to do is we need to check the right front too. And this would explain the heat cracks in the pads. This would also explain the thickness. We got sunlight we're dealing with now, Caleb. Look at the thickness difference in those pads, right? And that is again from that one piston hanging up. I'll be honest with you guys. The right way to do this brake job on this vehicle, and this is for you guys that are paying mechanics to do this, I'm telling you the right way to do this brake job, all 4 calipers, all 4 rotors, all 4 sets of pads. I have 2 calipers that are hung up. The truck has 80-some thousand miles on it. So now I'm using 2 calipers over again that right now they're okay, right? But I'm just talking from a mechanic standpoint. You, the customer, go to a garage and you have a right rear caliper, a left front caliper replaced. This needs front pads. So now you're going to do front pads, and then you got to consider the rotors. Now these were changed last year, but there's already a ridge on them. So now you're talking, I would say, as a needs for this particular vehicle, and everyone's going to be different on how you handle the rotors. Whether you want to cut them or not is up to you. But I would say, if I was writing this job up, it needs to have front pads, it needs to have a left front caliper, it needs a right rear caliper, it really needs to have the rear shoes replaced. And what do you do with the rest of it? It's kind of, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. If you want to save the customer money, that's fine. But what happens when the car comes back 2 months later and the right front is frozen? Who's going to eat that job? That customer's going to be pissed off at us, and then they want their money back. So that's the world we live in. You guys out there in I'm really not talking to my subscribers now. I'm talking to someone who's stumbled upon this channel and maybe is fixing their own brakes, or they're going to take it somewhere. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. It's like we are portrayed as mechanics as being thieves, and that's just not the case. Look at what I'm dealing with on my truck, and I'm telling you the right way to do this job: all 4 rotors, all 4 pads, all 4 calipers. I'm not doing it that way. It's my truck. When the vehicle comes back and the right front caliper is messed up, I'll do it then, right? But I'm not going to be pissed off at myself. Make sense? So there's a difference when we deal with customers. I do, however, want to know about my right front caliper before we go to the parts store. And as I'm talking, I'm thinking about, man, do I want to change these front pads? I need to. They're cracked. But then I don't want to put front pads on these on these rotors that have a ridge. I don't have a way to cut them here in my neighbor's driveway. You know what I'm going to do, Caleb?
What's that?
And what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to put these back on. We're going to change this caliper. I'm going to wear these shoes down some more, pads down some more, and then we're going to change the rotors and pads later. I'm not going to do that right now. Primarily because I don't feel like it. I just don't. I should be though. I'm putting shoe or pads back on that are cracked. And everyone's going to give me crap about that. Maybe we should. Alright. We'll do the front rotors. We'll do the front pads. This is going to cost me a lot of money. These are not cheap rotors. You know what we could do? We could take these rotors to my brother's shop and just show up with the camera and put them on the spot. Make him cut them for us. One of the things I don't want to do is put brand new pads on this crappy ass rotor. Even though it's only a year or so old, there is a huge ridge on this back side. And you can see the grooves in this. We'll see when we go to the parts store what this stuff costs. I remember paying at least $100 a rotor when I did these before. Alright. So we're going to change this. The other thing we're going to do while we're in here, guys, is I'm going to do a brake system flush too. It's never been done. We'll flush the brake system, and really all I'm going to do is I'll suck all the brake fluid out of the master cylinder up front and then put fresh fluid in, and then when we bleed all the brakes, we will just keep bleeding it till the fresh fluid comes out. That's how I'm going to do it. Alright, I need to take this apart a little bit further. I want to be careful with this brake hose, guys. What you don't want to do is hang this by the brake hose. So I have it sitting back here on the tie rod. And now I need to take this piece apart. Will I get lucky and have the right size? Yes. One. Turn that a little bit more. Little 3/8 drive Dewalt. Bought this years ago. It does pretty well. Except I can't reach. Damn it. Alright.
Are we going to be on Uncle Jim's shop to... No?
No.
Alright.
What, you think we should?
I mean, it would be cool.
You want to see a rotor being cut?
Yeah, kind of.
Well, it would save me like $200 if we cut the rotors.
Yeah.
Do we want to do that?
I mean, we can.
Alright, let's do it.
Alright, I'm supposed to go to the gym with Papa later. I'll tell him I'll go, like, because I was supposed to leave at like 2:15. So I can see if I can go
Tell him
later.
you're making money, and as my cameraman, I'm paying Caleb to be my cameraman, so it would benefit you to come with me.
Yeah, I'll go.
Alright. So, looking here, Caleb, what we have, let me straighten this back out. No, leave it there. I don't want this caliper falling. Because we're going to cut these now, as my son suggested, I want to be careful with this rotor. I don't want to beat on it. If I use a hammer, I want to hit here. But they actually give you, you see right where, I don't know if you can see the threads right where my finger's at. That's to run a bolt in here and here, and we can pop that rotor off. But I'm going to try hitting on it first. I got to go grab a hammer, Caleb. I'll be right back. Okay. I didn't have to use those, but that's what they're there for. I see our students at school, I see rookies doing this all the time, just beating the crap out of one of these things. And by the time they're done, they've hit it so hard they've destroyed the rotor. And then worse is they end up destroying the ABS sensor because you beat on it so hard that you damaged components. So, you know, you definitely don't need to do that. Okay. I was actually, when I put this together, I I actually cleaned this hub surface up and used some anti-seize there, so that's why it came off pretty easily for me. But same thing, we want to clean this hub surface up. We want to clean that rotor surface up. We'll do that part at my brother's shop. But this part in here, this is not really the right brush for this. I'll get a straight brush, and what we want to do is we want to clean this surface up. And the reason you want to do that, guys, there's rust buildup here that can actually make the rotor not sit flush. So we want to clean this surface up real well. We'll prep that here in a little bit. We got to get the other side apart so we can pull the rotor off. Remember, we're changing this caliper. So I'll leave this hang here like that. And now we need another jack stand, Caleb. So I have a little bit of an issue with where we are with this job. I have 3 jack stands. One is my neighbor's, and although he might have the other one, I'll have to ask him.
If he has it, it's probably in that little shed right there.
Yeah, maybe I'll look. I'll go ask him. But what I was thinking about is when we bleed this system out, when we do our brake flush, I'm going to have to pull that rear wheel back off again to do that. Just trying to think of the best approach here right now. I got to get another jack stand. Alright, so I got another jack stand from the other neighbor. So what I was worried about was when we bleed all the brakes, I want to be able to pull that left rear back off, and it's just easier to have another jack stand. First thing I need to do, which I forget sometimes, I need to loosen all my lug nuts because my little 3/8 gun only torques to 100 foot-pounds, and these are 140, so I can't break them loose. So before we jack that side up, I need to loosen these. The joys of working in the driveway. Yes, I'm using my torque wrench to loosen the bolts. Something else I'll get crap for, Caleb. I get this old crappy jack. I've had this jack for almost 20 years. I got it from Pep Boys. It's been very good to me, but not lately. Lately it's had a hydraulic issue that it won't go up all the way, so it's made working in the driveway that much more difficult. Safe. Okay, jack stands. Let me unlock my wheel so I can turn this wheel. One last piece before we go to my brother's shop. This light, I'm actually charging that using my cigarette lighter in my truck, so we'll have a nice fully charged light when we get back. Another piece I like about that light.
I like those rims.
Me too. Most of the young kids at my school don't like them. They like the black rims, the blacked out ones.
I hate this.
Yeah, I've never been a fan. They just look like dirty rims to me. But whatever. To each his own. Alright, so again, first part, let's compress this. This one's really free compared to the other side. It's good. Nope, wrong way, dumbass. Holy crap. I'm gonna be in the way for a second.
That's cool.
That's super tight. Last thing I want to do is break my ratchet. Some dumb Godzilla this, probably me. Holy crap! Who's the idiot that tightened that?
You.
Yup. That's ridiculous. Oh my goodness.
Come on, Scanner Danner. I thought you were strong.
That's not my issue. I'm worried about busting my knuckles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
That was more than 150 foot-pounds. I did not want to damage my ratchet. All right, back over here, buddy.
Yep.
Love these things, man.
Yeah, those are cool. We got them, what, at camp? We started using them
I started
a few years
buying
ago.
them, yeah, with the RV,
Yeah.
and I just found them to be even more helpful than the shop rags that I normally use.
Yeah,
You gotta wash those. These you can throw away.
they're just like rags too. They're cool.
So again, making sure that these pins are the same top and bottom. No worries about getting those mixed up. In fairness to myself, I did have some students helping me. It could have been one of my students that Godzilla'd this. I know, I'm making excuses. But the thing is, one of the things you learn about tightening bolts is, as a rookie mechanic, you really start learning how much you over tighten things whenever you have to do the job over again down the road. And then, like in a case like this, like who tightened these bolts? Yeah, I did. So I put those pins back in because I wanted to compress this piston a little bit more. So that was the purpose of that. Okay. Do our check on this caliper. One hand, nice and free. One hand. I wouldn't say nice and free, but free enough. Yeah, I'm good with this caliper too. So we'll do just the two. Again, I'm in the field. I'm recommending all four. Why? Mileage of the vehicle and warranty issues. I don't want this vehicle coming back with a frozen caliper later. I don't know. I'm probably going to regret not doing it, but I'm just doing the two. Put this over here. That's what it should look like. All right. This one too. See how much meat? See how much meat is left on these?
Yeah.
All right. These are not heat cracked. Let me show you the other side comparison. See how worn that inside shoe is from the driver's side. That was hanging up for a while. I'm good with this passenger side. Pins are free. We'll clean these slides up, do everything we did in the back. Let's get this caliper bracket off. Those weren't over tightened. You know what? I could have used this on the other ones. On these. I didn't have the right socket, that's why I didn't. Some of you are thinking, why didn't you use your impact gun on that? I should have. Right. Bracket. Okay, again, we don't want to hit in here because we're going to cut this rotor. We don't want to damage it. Hit in here. Cool. Okay, so we're going to go to the parts store. We're gonna get a set of front brake pads. And I actually bought these at AutoZone. I wonder if I get a warranty on them. I might be able to. Although they don't warranty stress cracks, I don't think. I think they'll warranty the shoes if they're worn down all the way. I'll have to find out. I'll take them anyway. We'll see. I did buy them at AutoZone. The rotors I didn't. The pads I did, I think. I don't remember. All right, we're going to the parts store. We're getting front brake pads, and we are getting a right rear caliper, and we are getting a left front caliper. And then we need brake fluid too, Caleb. Remind me to get brake fluid because we're going to flush this brake system out. Okay?
All right.
And then we need to figure out what kind of brake fluid, so let's go do that real quick. Follow me. Under the hood. I believe it's .3 type of fluid. It'll tell us right here on the master cylinder what kind of fluid to use. .3 right here on the cap. Cool?
Sweet.
Alright. Remind me too, Caleb, when we're there, to get some kind of siphon like a turkey baster, because we don't have one. I need to pull this fluid out of here when we flush this brake system, okay?
Okay.
So brake fluid, .3 brake fluid, front brake pads. We're going to cut the rotors at my brother's shop, bonus material for you guys. A left front and a right rear caliper. Got it?